The BRA uses its system of 11 reservoirs to supply water to various users throughout the basin of all sizes and for different types of usage, which include municipal, industrial, agricultural, and mining. There are currently about 160 long-term customers that use water from the system, ranging from small agricultural operations and rural communities to larger cities and industrial complexes and everything in between. Besides the long-term contracts, we also have other shorter-term contracts that allow users to use water from the system. The water users within the BRA system either divert water directly from the reservoirs or along tributaries and rivers downstream of the reservoirs. For our lakeside customers, there's really not any day-to-day release decisions that need to be made. They get their water from the lake, and we just have to account for what they use. Our water supply release decisions are primarily driven by downstream users. We have multiple smaller downstream users scattered throughout the basin, and a handful of larger users along the main stem of the Brazos in the lower part of the basin. During normal or wet times when there's adequate stream flow in the river, needs for these downstream users are satisfied with the natural flow of the Brazos River to the extent allowable to reduce the amount of water used from the BRA reservoir system. It's during prolonged dry periods when the rivers start seeing the impacts of rainfall shortages that BRA staff actually has to start thinking about making water supply releases. So there's a lot of years where significant water supply releases are just not necessary. Although we do have to release smaller quantities of water at times to satisfy the demands of those smaller downstream users, the real challenge is meeting the demands of those large users in the lower Brazos Basin. For example, there are a number of agricultural operations situated along the Leon River below Lake Proctor in the upper end of the Little River watershed. Those farmers, they'll tell us how much water they need to irrigate their crops or pecan farms or whatever it is they're irrigating. And then we'll coordinate with the Army Corps of Engineers to release the appropriate amount of water from Lake Proctor based on what they request. In those instances, it's typically a small quantity of water being released that can only be sourced from that one particular reservoir. When the large users in the lower part of the basin request water, they are downstream of all 11 of our reservoirs. So their water can be sourced from any reservoir in the BRA water supply system, any of the 11 reservoirs. This is where we have to take into account multiple considerations to determine which reservoir to use and how much to release.